Round 2, you guys. Now we're gonna start with you over here, and then we're gonna make our way. That's the rotating process. So we're gonna start with Sean. But round 2, best Disney animated movie soundtrack, and we're including, when you say soundtracks, we're including the main songs and the scores. So that is for the complete soundtrack. If you were to purchase it, that's how it would come. So we're starting with you, Shana.
I chose Lion King.
I chose Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. Murder each other.
Okay. Start.
Yes.
All right. So
time to
it's going. So
He gets to start.
you don't get to start.
well, whoever.
So,
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm just surprised you didn't pick Frozen.
I almost did.
Well, I picked Frozen, and the reason why I picked it was because out of all, and I only looked at Academy Awards, Golden Globes, and Grammys, Frozen has the biggest ratio to nominations and wins. So, for, like, basically what I'm saying, so Academy Awards, Frozen, and I'm talking only musically, I'm not talking Best Picture or anything like that. Academy Awards for Frozen, it was nominated for 1 and it won it. Lion King was nominated for 4, but it only won 2. So there's certain, that one's even in that one, but overall, generally, Frozen has the bigger wins.
Well, it's because you have Kristen Stewart and Idina Menzel. You can't top them. But you have Phil
Thank
Collins
you. That's
and
exactly why it's the
Hans
best
Zimmer, who
soundtrack.
has the best score and the main songs. Hans Zimmer's crescendos, yo, I cry just listening to the music, not even watching the movie. Like, you have the feeling in those scores.
I will concede that The Lion King has a very good score, but as far as like the soundtrack songs, I think that like let's take the opening song, "Circle of Life," etc. Everybody likes to do that whole like quoting the Swahili at the beginning.
Words?
Yeah,
It's
African language.
No, but nobody ever like. There are phrases within the songs that definitely see a lot of use, but the songs overall, I think, are mostly almost forgettable. Not really, I mean, when compared to the other. When compared to Beauty and the Beast. In the case of Frozen, I love Frozen. Frozen is like my favorite Disney film ever. However, listen, I will fangirl all I want. But ultimately, there's the thing that really killed it for me, and the reason I didn't pick it myself is you have that ice cutting song at the beginning that serves. It doesn't establish setting because it's off in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't establish anything. It doesn't establish any of the characters.
Yeah, but I would go as far as to say, arguably, there's at least one song on every Disney soundtrack that you're kind of just like, why is this there? And I will
Tell me the song for Beauty and the Beast.
Can you pick that for Lion King as well? Because I can't pick one that doesn't belong.
Not that it doesn't belong, but it's...
Or that you can question, like,
but is this
relevant?
It's not...
What's forgettable of Lion King?
The point of...
Lion King only really has 4 songs.
The point of the ice-cutting song... The point...
You got Circle of Life, Hakuna Matata, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And admittedly,
Be Prepared.
And arguably Be Prepared.
Be Prepared. There we go. We have found the weak link.
What do you mean? That is
we have just found the weak link of your
song.
Right, and it is not nearly as good as Gaston.
And arguably the
Listen, Frozen doesn't even have a really good villain song.
Okay,
but
I'm ignoring Frozen because Frozen isn't even in the competition right now.
Oh, wow.
Okay, but first of all, the only reason why Be Prepared is there is because the villain needed a song. And second of all, yes, while in life it is good to be prepared, it has nothing to do with the movie. Because if Simba was really prepared, then he would have ran back to his mother and said what really happened.
If Scar was prepared, he would have made sure that Simba died.
Yeah, so
Scar was not
he
prepared.
Sings
Simba being prepared doesn't have anything to do with him going back to Sarabi and saying, "Hey, mommy, Scar killed Daddy."
But he's saying be prepared, and the whole song
he's saying it to the
nothing,
hyenas.
Yeah,
and the hyenas inherently aren't prepared.
The point is it has nothing to do with the song.
Gaston's song establishes Gaston as just the ultimate douche nozzle. And that's basically what his character is. He's a character that in almost any other Disney film before Beauty and the Beast, he would have been the male lead. And the Beast would have been made as the villain. Nothing about him other than his smugness really defines him as the villain of the movie up until he tries to kill the Beast at the end of the film.
But nothing about him screams main character either, like, in regard, like, he's cocky. He's a piece of...
He's a piece of garbage. Yeah, no. I agree with you completely. He's a villain. But he's the villain. And none of the movie, like, every song in Beauty and the Beast, people know.
I don't remember
Arguably.
half of those.
Arguably, I will
Before
say
my
this.
time.
It wasn't even before my time. I
Quiet
watched
you.
it my whole entire childhood, and I was listening to the score, and I don't remember any of those. I don't remember half of the
Yes,
songs.
but
except
the
for
difference,
Be
I
Our
will say
Guest
this is the difference, is
and the Good Morning song.
Lion King and Frozen, their songs are add-ons, I would say, to the storyline. Whereas Beauty and the Beast, the songs help tell the story.
Thank you for making my argument.
No, and I will say that, but that doesn't necessarily make those songs better. Just because that's the way that they told the story doesn't necessarily make the movie any better, and doesn't necessarily make your argument
when
any
you
better.
consider the fact that, particularly The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, because I do not remember how they build Frozen, but Beauty and the Beast and Lion King are both billed as Disney musicals, and both of them have made it to Broadway.
Yes.
And they opted to go for Beauty and the Beast first, meaning that first off, you have Angela Lansbury. Okay, her singing Beauty and the Beast is amazing. It is, in my opinion, and I love Frozen to death, and I love Idina Menzel
Yeah, but
more
that's
than
what
I
I'm
really
saying.
should.
It's not as good as...
No,
Let It
I
Go.
love them. No, that's the thing. I don't think it is. I think that Let It Go was really popular when it came out because of Idina Menzel's voice and because of
That's
the
debatable
sequence.
because it was also redone by Demi Lovato.
And that one is horrible.
I disagree.
I didn't even know that
I
was done until Spotify told me.
No,
It's
I
awful.
disagree.
It is garbage.
And Frozen songs, if you listen to them, they're more of like what a nowadays person.
Yes,
would
oh my
feel.
god, it's the
Because
first
that's
Disney
the
movie
most
where the
current
female
film.
doesn't have to rely
No,
on another
it's
man.
not.
no,
No,
that's
I'm
not
not
the film,
talking
no.
about that. I'm
No.
saying, like, the whole line, like, when she's singing for the first time in forever, she's talking about how awkward she is and how she just wants to stuff her face with chocolate. It's the first Disney film that you can personally identify with being a human and being a girl.
Okay, hold on.
Is that what you took from that song?
No. She's not entirely wrong. You can totally glean that from the song. Except that's the total first song, Bonjour from Beauty and the Beast. Only part of it's better than that because you're not only getting Belle kind of showing what makes her awkward at the time and the fact that she's educated and wants to read and is a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. We'll ignore the end of the film. But the way the song is laid out, you actually get everyone else showing that for the time. She's weird, you know, and the fact, and it shows that that song does a good job of showing Gaston how petty he is. He's only interested in her because she's pretty.
Yeah, but...
You know, why read? Like,
If we're gonna talk about songs that actually matter, Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata is a fantastic life lesson that ultimately
That
screws
means that
up
when-
Simba's life.
When Pumbaa
And
was
doesn't
denied
need 3
by
minutes
everyone
to say.
else,
And it was played
Simone
for comedy.
accepted him. Okay, it may have been played for comedy, but it actually has a
come down song.
message.
Okay, and what it means, so it's the cool down song. It's the song that's supposed to make you feel good, and you're all happy right before something bad in the movie.
Yes, it's
Actually, it's right
the
after
song
something bad in
with
the
the
movie.
And
transition.
right before the end. It's the mid. It's the downhill of the middle, right before the.
It's a transition song, but the message behind it.
It doesn't
has
need 3
substance.
minutes to say. I got it in the first line.
No.
Hakuna Matata means no worries. Okay, and then it just repeats itself
No.
over and over again.
No, that's
No, and that's the thing. It's not.
message.
That's not bad. Songs being repetitive can arguably be good. My whole thing is that if you look at that song within the context of the film, that is the reason that the Pride Lands gets all fucked up.
Simba
Ooh,
wasn't gonna go back
word.
anyway and
He
bleed.
would have eventually.
There was potential for him to go back.
There's potential
and
for him to go
they
back,
were
and they were
"No,
just like,
don't worry.
you don't have to. Hang out with us, eat bugs. There's no reason you should
All
be
right,
able
but
to.
bottom line is yes, with storytelling, some of your songs are better, but from a soundtrack and from a overall point of view, Disney's Frozen soundtrack was the longest animated feature to be on Billboard charts. It broke the record at 13 weeks. So altogether, the general public thinks Frozen was
No,
better.
they think Let It Go was better.
It
And
does-
I will
you
say
have a
that.
song
It
about
wasn't
a
the song that went
about a
number one. It
snowman
was
in
the entire
summertime.
soundtrack.
But that's because you want the song, you buy the soundtrack.
That's not true. That's not true.
You also-
On iTunes, you can just click the song, and that's not what they did.
But
because
Billboard
But that's the
doesn't.
thing. But
Billboard
our
checks the whole. Like that's the thing.
but our
I
choices,
bought
we
the whole
actually have
album
CDs.
instead of just buying Let It Go.
People buy the CDs for Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. no one's buying the CD for Frozen.
Well, that's
They're
because
gonna
in
click
general
one
nobody's
specific song,
buying
they're gonna click,
CDs.
let it go.
Well, no.
That's in
albums.
general, but that's in general. Nobody's buying those these days. You can't argue that. That's
I would
a time.
still buy the soundtrack to Lion King of Beauty.
Maybe you would, but the general population would not.
I would
Beauty and the
download it.
Beast.
They would download it. That's what I'm saying.
But I would
It's
download
not-
the whole album instead of just picking one specific song.
But
I would
that's what I'm
download
saying.
Let It Go.
People
I would
are
download
downloading the entire
Be Our
Frozen
Guest.
album, not
But
just
I would
one song.
download
You're
the
making
whole
my
album.
point.
Okay.
People are downloading the entire thing. That's my point. They're not just downloading.
Oh
it
no, I'm
for
saying
Let
I
It
would
Go.
I
just
will say
download
this.
one of yours,
Music-
not all of yours.
Music sales in general have gone up over time, so you can't necessarily use that to determine it. People, soundtracks are more likely to be
And-
higher. Stop staring at me!
Wow, what a way to end the
At
day.
least it didn't cover your mouth this time.
Wow.
I would rather
Keep
get
it
my mouth covered
creative.
than
All right, guys,
stab.
It was two.
That's the end of round 2. I just want to say wow. Okay, that was real.
Two
Now I'm going to
stabs.
defer to the fact checker first before I play. I'll lay out all my cards. So what do you have? For me?
First the Academy Awards. It was right that Frozen won 8 in total. Only, I think one of them was for music. No, 2.
No.
Yeah, 2.
Oh, Academy. Wait.
Yeah, Academy Award for
Awards?
music. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
only one was.
Yeah. Wait, what was it? Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, my handwriting is trash. Beauty and the Beast won 3 Academy Awards. 2 of them were for music. And Lion King only won. Oh yeah, Lion King won 2 also. And I
But you were
wrote down.
Yeah, but you were
And I-
nominated for 4. So it's only half.
Yeah, and I wrote down the fact that you used the word crescendo because no one uses that. And I like that.
It's a beautiful sounding word.
And Sean, you said that Frozen didn't make it to Broadway, but it did. And
It has not been on Broadway.
sorry, my fault. They're
Developed.
they're in
There's
production.
talk about
They're
it?
in production.
Yeah, they're in production.
Okay, but the ones that are still
My
on
point was-
Broadway right
my-
That's good
now,
enough. That's
My
good
point
enough.
was that Beauty and the Beast was
I
first.
either.
Yeah.
Alright, it's all
Well,
taken
this
in.
is
I
the
got
movie
it.
came out.
Yeah,
for-
and-
No,
but
well,
Lion
Lion
King-
King.
Hold on, guys.
One more thing from the millennial. You said that not a lot of people would buy the Frozen soundtrack, right? Well, just in that year that it came out, they sold 338,000. So,
That was opinion.
Boom.
and then,
That was
overall-
opinion. I didn't
yeah,
even for that.
overall, as of today, they sold 4 million copies. So.
Their number, it's
Yeah.
the highest selling Disney record.
All right,
I
so
believe it.
thank you, man. Thank you very much for
No
that.
problem.
All right, so guys,
I love how we
so
all picked one that we wouldn't have.
I'm gonna.
I
Yeah,
think
so you
no,
also-
I opted for Beauty and the Beast. I think it has the better overall soundtrack.
But your favorite is Frozen. Her favorite is Lion King.
All right,
And
guys.
mine is Aladdin.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys my ruling in just a second. I'm just gonna go through the process real quick. So here's how it goes. A lot of these, most of the nerd offs, most of how I end up judging it is based off of what seems to be the general consensus of what's like accepted as what you're arguing with one another in the end. So let me just play out my cards. So you had a great point, obviously, in hearkening to the success of Frozen, which I would have used as the basis for obviously comparing all those. But you guys kind of got more into an argument about the music in context of the movie and how it basically like lyrical things, like how it played out in terms of telling the story and how relevant it was. So that ended up being the majority of the arguments that you guys were all pitting up against each other. So in the vein of that, you made it a point about you guys made it a point about like the ice cutting song was unnecessary, and
He made it, I nodded.
it was that was concurring. That was enough I needed. And you had brought in you were talking about Hans Zimmer #1 being like obviously when he's involved in something, it's an incredible scores. But you guys were knocking. Everyone kind of, it was a very even distribution of knocking down, except for when it came to Beauty and the Beast. You guys didn't knock down Beauty and the Beast with enough. I think you guys like obviously with as much. You guys love I think all of these things, so it made it difficult to formulate these arguments.
I actually despise Frozen.
Oh, really? So
love Frozen.
well,
I don't hate
you had
Frozen.
more of an argument for Frozen than anybody really had for Beauty and the Beast, whereas you kept, you ended up pushing a lot of the points that you're making for Beauty and the Beast. Really, what when you brought back into the music sales for it, it didn't have too much of a leg to stand on when they ended up, because you can't really factor in for that. It's possible you can't factor in for that too much because they made it a point to mention that the time of their movies, which I was waiting to see if that argument would be brought up, that the time of your movies would also influence the amount of sales you would get because you didn't have downloading in that time. So even in like access to
You had to
Well,
actually
those was
go out
CDs.
to a
Go out and
store,
get-
buy
yeah.
the CD.
completely changed the dynamic, and you also made the point about how music
Aaron,
sales
one day
have
I'll tell you about
skyrocketed.
that. Going out to a store and having to buy a CD.
Yeah, man.
And you had made a point that it was very helpful in terms of like obviously the establishing of the characters, like the other songs, not just Let It Go, which is good to make that point because you also made the point about how that established,
I
you know,
love
for
Fixer
women.
Upper, by the way.
But
That
he
might
also-
actually be my favorite song in the
He
album.
brought in about how the first movie really did that for Belle and how it and just in the context of the movie, how it made it seem like, you know, her pursuit of intellect and adventure made her a weirdo, and that kind of established her as already this outcast woman, but established that for a stat of making like her a compelling female character. So for those reasons, all of those, if you guys got what I was saying, I give Beauty and the Beast the point. Sean got that point there.
Oh,
I gotta talk about that for a second real quick before we even go into round 3 because I really felt like, because it sucks that the argument got into the context of the music in the context of the movie, because I thought you were gonna go for like the scores, like I thought you were gonna talk about the fact that it was like the African influence, because you did mention it, but then you just like, you ended up trying to argue their points as opposed to just talking about how great the music is in that movie. I didn't get enough of, you mentioned Hakuna Matata, which was great, but then arguing, like they knocked it down with the context of how it played. He was like, that's what ruined the plot. And I couldn't say that's not true, because like, that's like what inspired so many hippies. I love the song, but I really wish that you guys were really more arguing the music, because the
I
music
wanted
is
to
just,
argue the music,
Yeah.
but I had to go back to knocking it down.
stick with your art, because in the end, the more that you give me to like talk up your point is really what's going to do the best for you, because